Welcome back, everybody. We're surface grinding our bars now. That we have etched the ends and we can tell which sides we're going to surface grind. And then once we get that all cleaned up, we'll look at the rest. So what we want
to have is to make a piece like this that comes in from each side with black in the middle, 15 and 20 down the center of a sandwich of 1080 on the outside as well. So it looks like the link is passing over and through the other link. Now, it's nice if you can just make, one or two bars and have them work for both of these rather than having to make a bespoke bar for each. So that will work for that. We'll just have to trim a little bit off, grind a little bit off to fit it in there. No problem. So we need to make a bar like that. And what I could do is I can make a bar like that, split it, and turn it around, or a couple other ways. But what I've settled on, given the stock that I have, which is 1080, that's only 1.5 inches wide right now, and these are both already 1 5/8 inches wide, is that I want to build two bars like this and end up having them both be 16 inches long, 8 inches long, but 4 of them, so I can make a 16-inch long one, cut it in half, and have enough for this, and then do the same with another bar and have enough for this. So it needs to be about about 0.300 tall by like 7/8 wide before grinding in to fit, probably. So 0.300 tall and 7/8 wide is the target for each of these bars. And I'm just going to make some 15 and 20 stock, some 1080 stock that I can draw down into square, or almost small square 1080 wire. And then just a solid bar of 15 and 20 I can put next to each other, and then for the final assembly, sandwich in between 1080s. And then roll the final bars out to the thickness that I want, trim width, set them in here. So let's look at the sub billets. Sometimes when I need custom 1080, I'll just take all of my 1080 billet ends from I keep them in a can. These are just leftover pieces from cutting up bars at 1080 to specific length, and I'll usually have a remainder. So I'll just grab whatever pieces I can that sort of match in length, tack up a big stack of them. Now I can just make whatever size and shape 1080 that I want. Cut up some 15 and 20 just to make a billet. Better too much than too little. So we're going to bang these out real quick, roll them and dimension them, grind them. And here we are with the fruits of our forging session. A bar at about 1.25 inches wide by 9/16 thick, and another 9/16 square bar of 1080. This one on the right is 15 and 20, of course. Then we'll just grind these to fit each other, and grind them to fit some 1.5 inches wide by 1/8 inch 1080 outer sandwich layers, and then we'll make one more forge weld, or maybe two more. I think we'll do 2 bars of this stuff and draw them out long enough for what we need.
So I thought I'd talk about this clamp real quick. Pretty sure I've showed it elsewhere in my videos, but could probably use a refresher. This is just a couple of pieces of mild steel. I think it's 1/2 inch by 1 inch bar with holes drilled through just to make strap clamps with all thread for bolts on either side to give a wide range of adjustment. But what you can do is it'll clamp down flat to the mag chuck, but it'll also clamp bars together sideways. So if your bars are a little out of square or a little rough or whatever, you can clamp them together and also have them magged down. Grind one side, flip them, clamp them again, grind the other side. Now you got parallel sides that you can establish square grinds off of. It's really handy for matching height and matching square on bars for multi-bar or whatever you might be doing.
And finally here we're done with all of our grinding. Just gotta clean the corn silk off these bad boys. These are thicknessed or widthnessed to the point where they should be just right to sit next to those bigger bars of 15 and 20, and then have a strap of 1.5 inch wide 1080 sit over bottom and top of them. But let's have a gander here real quick and see if that's the case. Get that 15 and 20, tip that up. Perfecto. So one on this side, one on that side. Do the other one up too. We'll have 2 little ice cream sandwich billets. We'll heat those up, roll those out to a dimension, and then we'll be building chain again. Okay, so check this out. Now you may notice a bit of a theme with the way that I put things together, and that is that anytime you got a thin long layer of something on the outside, you've got to tack it all up with little tacks of MIG beads so it doesn't bow out when you heat it up. Okay, that's enough of the bogus accent. But yes, small tacks are all that you need, and you can grind the crowns off of them. Just something to hold it, because you don't want little cold shuts anywhere along the sides. If we look at the end of this, you can see that there's that small bar, and then the 15 and small 1080, big 15 and 20, 1080 sides. We're going to heat these out, draw them out. Each one of these is going to be enough filler material to make the 2 side links of each of those 4-way chain packets. So let's go ahead and do that.
What I'm doing right now is I'm taking my 2 sets of forging calipers. I forged the calipers themselves and made them specifically for this purpose. So if I'm forging a bar with a rectangular cross section, I can set one of the forging calipers to the smaller dimension and one to the larger dimension, or sides of the rectangle, and this way I can have a quick reference to check how big things actually are while I'm hot forging them down to size with some rough calipers that aren't going to get burnt and have long handles. I just keep them by the power hammer as I'm going. It's pretty darn handy to be able to do. Couple of notes on the forging here. First, I'm just trying to pat these pretty lightly, set the welds. After that, what I'm trying to do is draw them out gently, not taking the dimension down too much from any one side at a time. Keep flipping it a lot, keep it straight. I don't want to induce a lot of extra distortion that I don't want. I don't want the surface layers creeping around the end of the middle layers. I've seen that happen sometimes if it's forged too hard. But what I do want to create is a little bit of buckling in the middle layers there. The edge of the 15 and 20, I want it to buckle. It's a little bit toward the side of the billet, and so it'll act like I'm forming C's as if I was doing the basis of W's. It'll cup a little bit as it gets forged down, and I want that because it'll make the edge of my chain link look round rather than flat and square. So it's just a happy kind of byproduct of the distortion we naturally get from this weld and draw sequence. Here's where the rolling mill is really nice. I don't have to use stop blocks, and I can work these two bars alternately, keeping the rollers at the same thickness per pass, and that way I can very closely match these in thickness and not have any taper either.
Here is what we ended up with. A couple of nice long bars, more than enough. With the combo of the rolling mill and the hammer being very nice for manufacturing stock to spec. I was checking with these as I went. Off camera you couldn't really see it because the frame wasn't over by the hammer. But it's just a little bit under the 3/8 that these are set to, which is fine because 3/8 is a little bit bigger than 300. I left some for scale. So the thickness is good, and then the width is just a tad over these calipers. And that is, boy, awkward is one descriptor. That is perfect too. That gives me a little bit of choice where I want to put the demarcation between the black and the white elements of these bars. So these should be good to go. That's it for the day for me. I'll chop them up tomorrow, etch the ends, have a look, surface grind everything, and include them in the other ones, and we'll take you along for that ride too. Word of the day, well, 2 words of the day, forging calipers. Have a couple of them for each dimension of what you're going to forge. Super handy. Quick look at the results here. Just did a little end etch. So that's pretty typical. You can see, let me line them all up here. So the 1080 now is all to that side. You can see it here. And then you can see the jacket surrounding this insert of 15 and 20. And you can see the jacket tapering off a little bit and getting thinner here at the outside corners. Well, that's okay because we have a little material to remove here just to get the length, the width of it not to be proud with the rest of the billet once we insert it in there. So that shouldn't be a problem either. We got enough cut here for both billets. So let's see what kind of a look this is going to give us as far as the pass through. Putting that 1080 to the center. And we're going to have to take, a fair amount off this one, but we have an automatic surface grinder. A mill or a shaper would suffice too, but this stock is left kind of hard. Okay, so look. There's a link with pass-throughs and a black center. So that's going to work out really nice. I'm going to set that there. Let's look at the other one. and another nice link with pass-throughs. So good. Now I'm just going to go to the surface grinder, and I'm going to take off the excess width off of these to get them fit up. Surface grind the outsides, and we'll get everything clean, get ready to tack it up. So I've taken this apart, pulled it out flat, and now it's just very easy to match the ends up, squeeze these together, and use them as a guide to scribe the width that we need that bar to be into the scale of the bar that we're going to need to grind on each side of that link. I've done this one already. We'll put those over here, and then we'll get these out and do the same thing with them. And again, this is obviously quite over width, but better to have plenty of room to adjust than to cut it a little too close. All right, and even if all you had was, you know, a KMG or something with a platen and a fresh 36 grit belt, taking that much material off ain't gonna take you that much time. So these are all ready to grind. Another quick note, here is just another part of the process in which this multiple bar clamp allows me to gang up parts, square them up to the chuck nicely, and really kind of speed myself up by batching production of these bars to a small extent. I'm grinding the scale off of these sides just till they're clean, because this is the 1080 side. I don't want to take much off that. Then we'll flip them over, and I am going to use the scribe lines till I get down to the scribe lines that are the shallowest on the first two. I'll take them out, and then I'll keep grinding on the last two until I get down to those scribe lines. Okay, all of these pieces are ground, fitted, and ready for me to tack up. Let's take a quick look at them. Again, pass-throughs from the sides with little black bars on the outsides of them to create an illusion of actual difference in depth. Just a little shading at the edge of the link. Both of these have it. The links look a little bit different than each other, but that is no problem once they get small. And these billets are about the same volume, pretty dang close to it. So once we get each one welded up and drawn out some, we can include them in 4 ways together at whatever point we want. But for now, the goal is to get them tacked and drawn as evenly as possible without any incorrect clocking of the end grain and without any distortion from drawing it too much from any one direction before tumbling it. We're going to be tumbling it, doing it in several heats with each of these, and draw probably each one out. Well, we'll see. There's a decision that I'm going to put off till later. The other thing is, my recommended listening material while you're doing this kind of stuff, at least what's working great for me today, is the Industrial Revolutions podcast. Right now I'm on chapter 7, the steam engine, and it is fascinating stuff to be working with these machines and with this modern material and thinking about how, in the 1800s, you couldn't take any of this for granted, and about all of the things that had to fall into place with the production of coal, mining, rails, the safety lamp for miners, going from puddling to larger methods of smelting iron and then steel. Fascinating. Check it out if you get a chance. Anyway, tacking. Yes, where was I?
speed this up a little here. You can see me buzzing the weld bearings off the table with a flap disc on that grinder. Put them flat on the table here, the halves, clamp them, bring them up to each other, clamp them to each other. It's an easy way to get a gap-free fit with everything even. Tap everything around, adjust it a little bit. And as soon as I got this welded up, we'll be going to the hammer, but that's going to be in the next video because this is all the time I've got for this chapter. So please stay with me. Thanks for watching so far. Next time we should have some finished links to show for our work. Till then.